Grove Unleashed.
All right, so we are in week 4 of June. We should be getting a budget done. What's going on?
So, last week we weren't in session, and they deliberately scheduled that so they could meet, negotiate, and draft. So we're back this week and finalize a budget for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania before the fiscal year ends on June 30th. As we're recording, it is Thursday, June 27th. And we still don't have a finalized agreement on anything. As a matter of fact, we are just positioning stuff for a hopeful conclusion to this budget season.
So it looks here like on June 24th, finally took action in the House on procedural votes. How did that go?
Right. So that was done at 8 o'clock at night. Could have been done earlier, but it was done at 8 o'clock at night. And that was the House Democrats finally moving their version of a budget out. It was governor's proposed budget, which is over $3 billion more than we have available in revenue. So massive spending, massive deficit, which will result in massive taxes.
Is that normal for you to vote on the governor's proposal?
No, normally they do current year budget as a placeholder, and then the final version is just amended in, and they'll just move it through the process.
So they're actually asking you to vote on Shapiro's budget
before it's even negotiated.
On
Right.
June 24th, when it's due on June 30th?
Correct, out of committee. And then all the housekeeping bills. So it was like 19. They had a couple other bills to add on. There was about 19 bills we voted at 8 o'clock at night. So as you're getting ready for work, House Democrats are proposing to spend $3 billion more than what we have available, which will result in taking more of your money to fund over the long haul. And then this week it was just more positioning. That budget is finally on second consideration vote today for amendments, or went over second consideration yesterday for amendments. There were no amendments, so it's on third and final today. And we don't have a schedule yet, so if they move it, it'll move to the Senate today.
What has the Senate done? Have they sent anything?
They have sent current year budget over. We moved that out of committee yesterday with the Senate's kind of housekeeping bills. So the Senate was far more ahead but these are all positioning. This is not a final budget. It's not a final conclusion. It is just positioning stuff for a potential deal.
So we're talking about positioning bills, and we have the House Democrats have introduced Governor Shapiro's proposal, and the Senate Republicans have introduced last year's budget. What does that mean in terms of the negotiation process?
Yeah. So positioning bills, you can position different bills for different things. Normally when you're positioning bills for a budget negotiation, one chamber is sending bills to the other to say, this is important to us, and we have the votes to do it. So we're going to bring this to the table for negotiation. So there could be an education bill that a majority party of a chamber wants to get done, and they pass that over the Senate, and they say we have the votes to do it. It's important to us. We're putting that on the table. There's the budget and code bill, so the big omnibus bills, and then the general appropriations bill. They position that so it's an easy amend to get done. So it shrinks the number of days you need to have a bill sitting there.
How many
normal days? You need 4 days in the House and 3 days in the Senate, and that's constitutional. The Senate has 3 and we have 4 because of our House rules, but the Congress requires a minimum of 3 days in each chamber. It's 4 for the House because our rules, it's a longer time period between those 3 days. It's a 24-hour where the Senate can move in 6 hours. So we get an extra day. So it takes us a little longer. So 7 days for a bill to actually get to the governor's desk, and then the governor has up to 10 days to do action on it. Otherwise, it becomes law. So positioning is just a description of getting things ready for a quick final kind of drill to end the budget process and get a budget and all the bills you need to implement a budget on the governor's desk as the closest time period. Now, we're doing this in the last week of June. All this could have been done over the past 6 months. Nothing says you can't position a bill in January or February, March, or April, or May, or even early June. But everybody, for whatever reason, just waited. Now, the Senate moved earlier. They're ahead. So
one of the things that we're looking at here is the Senate is starting from the negotiation point of last year we spent X, we should begin there.
Right.
The House Democrats are starting from the perspective of, well, the governor wants to spend Y, let's start there.
Right.
You have a different idea altogether about how we can get through the budget negotiations, which is called zero-based budgeting.
Right.
So how does that change the conversation, or how would that change the conversation happening right now?
Right. So we basically do incremental budgeting here, which means regardless of how well a program works, whether it works, whether you need more money, don't need more money, we just add money to every single line every single year. Some of the DHS lines, because there's federal requirements to look at utilization rates and stuff for rate making, they may fluctuate because of that. But generally, we just throw money on top of each other. What that leads to is this ingrained thought that that's how much people need every single year and everything's working great. To me, it's very lazy budgeting. You know, you're just throwing money on top of it without any discussion on if it works and is benefit to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the citizens. So it's not new, but it's something other governments have done to great success, and that is zero-based budgeting, where you take every line down to zero and then you rebuild it from there up. And you get to ask the questions, has this worked? Does this program actually need more money? Because it is working and it is underfunded. You know, you get to ask those questions. And then on top of that, we've had this performance-based budgeting board in operation. I think we're closing in on a decade. The Independent Fiscal Office runs it. And they've kicked out all these reports on performance measures of state agencies, and we've done nothing with them. And that's not the fault of the IFO. That's the fault of the General Assembly and the Governor's Office, not using them to make any determinations. So if you take it down to zero, we have all these robust reports we can actually dust off, and we can look at the performance of these programs, see how they work, and have those deep. I mean, legislators ask for stuff in budgets. There's a lot of legislators that haven't been here anymore in the past 30 years. Did the legislators ask for a line item in 1980? Do we need that today in 2024? These legitimate question. And I think you should go back and review all this and say, you know, decisions made in 1980 aren't the decisions we need to make today.
So Pennsylvania is a pretty old state. You know, we tend to change rather slowly. You've cited other states, but has there ever been an attempt in Pennsylvania at zero-based budgeting?
Not that I know of, as far as state government goes. Now, the current governor has, as county commissioner for Montgomery County, one of the largest counties in the state. He was elected as president commissioner, and he had a structural deficit to deal with. The current budget secretary for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania was his budget guy at Montgomery County, and they implemented zero-based budgeting. They were able to increase funding to core functions, but get rid of all the unnecessary stuff, right? Refocus those dollars on the important investments that people in Montgomery County wanted to see. He did it there, and it's something that we can do here. And this is the first time we've had a governor that actually has done this and has done it. I'm actually excited about the opportunity to actually do this here in Pennsylvania, because I think it'll be a landmark budgeting process moving forward for states. And I have no doubt we can be successful. He's shown he can be successful. Secretary Arcou, she's the Human Services Secretary. She was county commissioner, president commissioner after Governor Shapiro left. She continued that process, saw how successful it was. Like, we can do it here.
We're trying to bring this budget in for a landing in, 3 days now.
Right.
Where's the governor been? What's his engagement level been?
So he finally engaged, I believe it was 2 evenings ago. He had negotiators in late at night, past midnight. I assume he was there. I haven't seen reports that he was physically there. But that's the first engagement he has had in this entire budget process.
What the heck's he been up to?
So he did go to a Hershey Bears game, which he got booed. It was pretty loud. He was at a
LGBTQIA plus community event.
Yes, whatever that is. He was at that event, and then today he's in Center County promoting that property tax rent rebate checks are going out per statute. So not early, at least not late like this budget is, but.
So he's doing a press conference to congratulate himself on doing the bare minimum.
The bare minimum, correct.
Oh, okay.
So that's has been. I mean, you can see in the press, like his press at the beginning of June says, when they ask about where people are for budget, they're like, the governor has been in June, all over the state,
jet skiing on Lake Wallenpaupack, yeah,
bicycle riding, and all kinds of stuff. And literally said, for the rest of June, he's going to be out traveling the Commonwealth, not in Harrisburg doing the one job he has. And listen. I think people understand simple negotiations. When you have two parties that are in an impasse, can't make a headway, you need a third party to come in. That's the governor's job to get this stuff done, using the tools and the leverage points that the governor has to finalize a budget.
So we have no idea on spending, no idea on the policies, no idea on the taxes.
And that's a big thing. Even these code bills, which are trailer bills, which basically are the implementation of the budget, you need to do them all together. Like last year's impasse went to December because the fiscal code wasn't done. So it's a budget impasse without code bills directing state agencies how to spend, because we have a new ruling or interpretation by the Office of General Counsel of the Shapiro under the Shapiro administration, that if there's no fiscal code, programs can't be executed. Thus, you have a budget impasse.
Well, there is one piece of good news that I think we can talk about here today, and that is that I-95, which I'm not sure if you're aware, bridge collapsed. They fixed it in 12 days with a temporary bridge. They did put up a sign which misspelled Central Philadelphia. The sign's been fixed. So that only took about 4 days.
Yeah, but the other problem is then they put up a sign for Temple, and that was misspelled right after. So Shapiro administration is batting 1,000. I did enjoy Martina Weiss, Representative Martina Weiss. She's in Philadelphia. She actually tweeted, the failure of education, like, had we had school choice, maybe those spelling errors wouldn't have happened. I did enjoy that. But yeah, now Josh Shapiro's I-95 legacy will be a misspelled sign. So, we're closing in. It's getting hot in Harrisburg, both inside the Capitol and outside. I think they turned off the air conditioning in here because I feel it's a little extra hot. They try to sweat us out in the waning days of the fiscal year. So we'll see how things shape up the rest of this week and into next week. I'm not holding my breath for anything on time, but we'll see.
Growth Unleashed.